All right, Rob's meaningless thoughts. Here's a new one. Nobody ever accomplished anything by thinking about all the reasons they shouldn't try. So, if you're going to try something and go for something new, take a risk, whatever, if you start thinking about all the reasons you shouldn't do it, then it's going to sort of create all these hurdles and make it so much harder to do it. So you really need to like train yourself to think of the reasons you should or just not think about it. Now, obviously, if it's something where you're seriously putting yourself in danger, then you should be listening to your sort of internal mechanism that's like, hey man, I don't think you should do this. You know what I mean? Like, I don't feel good about this. So this isn't to say you should ignore your gut feeling or ignore feelings of danger or something you're not comfortable or not really not comfortable, because you do need to push yourself out of your comfort zone, but something you just don't feel good about, and you really need to be in tune with that voice that's like, dude, I don't want this, I don't think it's a good idea. So that's sort of a different thing. But if you're like, sort of like, I want to do this, and it's not something that's going to endanger your life, it's just you're nervous about doing it because it requires making a change or putting yourself out there in some way or taking some sort of risk, you know, if you start thinking about all the reasons you shouldn't do it, it's just going to fuck with your head like too much. And it's going to create, like I said, like a barrier, like an extra hurdle. So it's like now you got to overcome your own insecurities about doing it. So, you know, the idea of ripping the Band-Aid off is probably good if you think about something and it feels right and you're like, all right, yeah, let's go for it. You know, maybe that's 9 times out of 10 the best time to do it. And then like don't hesitate and wait for too long, because otherwise you're going to give yourself that time to think about all the reasons you shouldn't do it. It's sort of like icing the kicker in football. You know, they call a timeout right as the field goal kicker is about to kick, so that the opposing team does, so that the kicker has to stop and like think about it for a minute and then kick the ball again. And while it doesn't always work, it actually probably rarely actually works. The philosophy behind it is like, make him have to sit there and like look around at the crowd and start thinking like, oh shit, what's going to happen if I kick this wide right? Or what's going to happen if it, you know, if it hits off the upright and falls back into the field of play instead of going through the uprights, and then the field goal doesn't count. And so you're just like giving them more time to think about all the things that could go wrong. And that's something in life too. Like if you make a bold decision and it feels right, sometimes you just got to go for it instead of giving yourself that extra time to be like, oh well, what if this happens, or what if that happens, or what if it doesn't work, or what if I fuck up, or maybe I should do a halfway thing where I sort of dip my toe in the water. But at the end of the day, sometimes that just creates more problems than it solves, and you got to just go for stuff.